Shaun Cassidy, born September 27, 1958, in Los Angeles, grew up in a world of fame and chaos. Delivered a month late via cesarean, he was the son of Oscar-winning actress Shirley Jones and Broadway star Jack Cassidy, whose bipolar disorder and alcoholism cast a dark shadow over their home. Jack's erratic behavior, ranging from manic episodes to wandering naked or claiming to be Jesus, left young Shaun navigating a volatile environment. Furniture was smashed, arguments raged through the night, and the constant threat of worse loomed large. Adding to the strain, Shaun lived in the shadow of his half-brother, David Cassidy, a global teen idol who earned $8 million and received 25,000 fan letters weekly at his peak. Shaun felt overlooked, even at home, where family dinners were tense with David's jealousy over Shaun's emerging success. Raised in a Beverly Hills mansion, Shaun's life seemed glamorous but was far from it. At elite private schools, he faced relentless bullying. Classmates mocked his mother's roles in musicals like Oklahoma, with cruel parodies and obscene gestures. Isolated despite being surrounded by future stars like Nicolas Cage and Lenny Kravitz, Shaun grew to resent Hollywood's superficiality. The defining tragedy came on December 12, 1976, when his father, Jack, died in a fire sparked by a cigarette in his West Hollywood apartment. Shaun, just 18, arrived at the scene, confronted by blackened walls, the smell of burnt flesh, and a body bag. Jack's identity was confirmed only by dental records and a melted gold ring, a haunting symbol of destruction that shaped Shaun's later work. Determined to keep him occupied, Shirley pushed Shaun into acting and auditions. A failed tryout for a $50,000 cereal ad, where he was deemed too sweet for a rebellious role, stung deeply. In 1975, he signed with Curb Records, but his debut single, Morning Girl, flopped, charting only in Germany. Then, in 1977, his cover of De Du Ron Ron hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, launching him as a teen idol. But the grueling schedule, up to 200 shows a year with minimal sleep, led to a collapse on stage in Germany from exhaustion. His self-titled album sold 2 million copies, yet he was trapped in a manufactured image, posing for staged romances and battling a system that profited off his likeness while giving him little in return. His 1978 album Under Wraps, with its darker tone, was rejected by fans and critics, peaking at number 33. A terrifying incident at Madison Square Garden in 1979, where fans rushed the stage, tore his clothes, and sent death threats, pushed him to the brink of quitting music. Shaun also pursued acting, taking on serious roles in films like Born of Water, 1976, and Like Normal People, 1979, which tackled heavy themes like religious conflict and disability rights. But his defining role came in 1977 as Joe Hardy in the Hardy Boys/Nancy Drew Mysteries. Cast for his wholesome image, Shaun wanted to explore gritty topics like police brutality, drug abuse, and trauma, but ABC demanded safe, family-friendly stories. Long 18-hour shooting days and a collapse from dehydration on set revealed the toll of the production. When co-star Pamela Sue Martin, underpaid compared to Shaun, posed for Playboy in defiance, she was fired, sparking fan outrage. Shaun's persistent push for darker narratives was repeatedly blocked by producers and the Stratemeyer Syndicate, who controlled the show's wholesome tone. By 1979, the show's ratings slid from number 61 to 92, and the third season's shift to darker FBI storylines alienated its young audience. Parents complained, the FCC intervened, and the show was cancelled in January 1979 after 46 episodes. Shaun's simultaneous music career strained his vocal cords, forcing him to abandon it after his 1980 album Wasp, a dark, experimental flop produced with Todd Rundgren. Around this time, rumors of Hollywood's drug culture swirled, but Shaun, wary of his brother David's struggles, stayed clean. In 1981, Shaun's emotional breakdown in an interview laid bare his frustration with his teen idol image. He vanished from the public eye, attempting a Broadway comeback with Mass Appeal, which flopped when audiences rejected his serious turn. For a decade, he couldn't secure major roles. His 1987 stint as a villain on General Hospital drew fan backlash, ending prematurely. His personal life unraveled too. His 1979 marriage to model Ann Pennington ended in a bitter 1993 divorce, costing him over $400,000. A turning point came in 1995 with American Gothic, a dark, supernatural series Shaun created for CBS. Featuring a chilling sheriff played by Gary Cole, it tackled themes of murder, abuse, and psychological horror. Though critically acclaimed, its graphic content and low ratings led to cancellation after 22 episodes. Still, it became a cult classic, reflecting the raw, honest storytelling Shaun had long craved. From 2018 to 2023, Shaun found success as executive producer of New Amsterdam, a medical drama that earned $200 million in Emmy nominations for weaving subtle darkness into mainstream appeal. In 2018, he rejected a $15 million Netflix deal to reboot The Hardy Boys, refusing to compromise on childish scripts. He insisted the brothers' exposure to violence would leave lasting trauma, something he'd tried to convey decades earlier. Fans later spotted eerie details in the original episodes: shadows, newspaper clippings tied to real crimes, and hints of Joe Hardy's psychological strain, fueling theories that inspired darker takes in modern Nancy Drew adaptations. By 2023, Shaun's net worth reached $20 million, built on shows like American Gothic, Roar, and Invasion. No longer chasing fame, he found fulfillment in authentic storytelling, proving he'd transcended the teen idol trap that once defined him. Shaun Cassidy, the hidden truths behind a teen idol's silence. Shaun Cassidy was born on September 27, 1958, in Los Angeles, California, under the weight of a legacy that would both elevate and haunt him. Delivered a month overdue via cesarean section, his arrival into the world was anything but ordinary. His mother, Shirley Jones, was an Oscar-winning actress, beloved for her roles in musicals like Oklahoma and Carousel. His father, Jack Cassidy, was a charismatic Broadway star whose charm masked a turbulent inner life. Jack's undiagnosed bipolar disorder and alcoholism created a home environment of unpredictability, where moments of warmth could erupt into chaos. Shaun witnessed his father's manic episodes, wandering naked through their Beverly Hills mansion, watering the lawn in broad daylight, or whispering delusions of being Jesus Christ. These weren't performances, they were glimpses into a fractured mind. For young Shaun, the constant threat of violence, smashed furniture, screaming matches that lasted until dawn shaped a childhood defined by fear and hypervigilance. Adding to the complexity was Shaun's older half-brother, David Cassidy, born to Jack from a previous marriage. By the early 1970s, David was a global phenomenon as the star of The Partridge Family, earning $8 million and receiving 25,000 fan letters a week. At home, Shaun felt invisible, overshadowed by David's fame and the on-screen mother-son dynamic Shirley shared with him. Family dinners were fraught with tension. David, struggling with his own fading career by the late 1970s, harbored resentment toward Shaun's rising star. In a 2025 interview, Shaun reflected, "David never offered me advice when I got famous. He was at a low point, and my success was hard for him to stomach." The unspoken rivalry cut deep, forcing Shaun to suppress his own ambitions to keep the peace. The Cassidy family's Beverly Hills mansion was a symbol of Hollywood glamour, but for Shaun, it was a gilded cage. At elite private schools, he faced relentless bullying. Classmates mocked Shirley's wholesome roles, twisting songs like "Oh, What a Beautiful Mornin'" into crude taunts with obscene gestures. Shaun, already shy and introspective, withdrew further, finding no solace among peers who included future stars like Nicolas Cage and Lenny Kravitz. The cruelty fueled a quiet contempt for Hollywood's artifice, planting seeds of rebellion that would later surface in his creative work. The defining tragedy, Jack Cassidy's death. The pivotal moment came on December 12, 1976, when Shaun was 18. His father, Jack, died in a fire at his West Hollywood apartment. After a night of heavy drinking, Jack fell asleep with a lit cigarette, igniting a blaze that consumed the apartment. Firefighters arrived at 6:15 a.m., finding a body near the door, charred beyond recognition. Identified only by dental records and a melted gold pinky ring, Jack's death was a brutal shock. Shaun arrived at the scene, standing amid the blackened wreckage, the acrid smell of smoke and burnt flesh searing into his memory. The image of that ring, once a symbol of his father's charisma, became a haunting emblem of loss, fueling the dark, emotional undercurrents in Shaun's later work. Shirley, desperate to keep Shaun from spiraling, pushed him into acting classes and auditions. One early rejection stung deeply. A casting director for a $50,000 serial ad dismissed him as too sweet to play a rebellious teen. The critique, that he couldn't break Hollywood's mold, echoed the bullying he'd endured, reinforcing his sense of being misunderstood. Shirley enrolled him in tougher acting programs, but Shaun's gentle demeanor clashed with the industry's demand for grit or glamour. He was caught in a paradox, too wholesome for edgy roles, yet too haunted by his past to fully embody the polished teen idol image. The rise to teen idol fame in 1975, while still in high school, Shaun signed with Curb Records under Warner Brothers. His debut single, Morning Girl, 1976, was a commercial disappointment, peaking at number 40 in Germany and failing to chart in the US. Critics and executives compared him unfavorably to David, urging him to sex up his image. Undeterred, Shaun released a cover of De Du Ron Ron in 1977, which soared to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, cementing his status as a teen idol. His self-titled album sold over 2 million copies, but the success came at a cost. A grueling schedule of 200 concerts a year left him exhausted, culminating in a collapse on stage in Germany from dehydration and fatigue. The tour was paused, a stark warning of fame's physical toll. Shaun's image was tightly controlled. Managers staged fake romances for magazine covers, once pairing him with a model he'd never met. Merchandise, dolls, posters, lunchboxes generated millions, but like David, who earned just $5,000 from $500 million in Partridge Family merchandise, Shaun saw little of the profits. The exploitation deepened his disillusionment. His 1978 album Under Wraps, a darker rock departure featuring a collaboration with Brian Wilson, was a critical and commercial flop, peaking at number 33. Fans rejected the shift, wanting the bubblegum pop star they adored. A traumatic 1979 concert at Madison Square Garden, where fans breached security, tore his clothes, and sent death threats, pushed him to the edge. Scratches on his arms and chunks of his hair ripped out left him shaken, prompting thoughts of abandoning music entirely. Of the Hardy Boys, a dream turned prison in 1977. At age 18, Shaun was cast as Joe Hardy in the Hardy Boys / Nancy Drew Mysteries. His wholesome, David-like charm made him an instant fit, but his vision for the show clashed with ABC's. Shaun proposed storylines tackling teen alcoholism, police brutality, and psychological trauma issues rooted in his own experiences, but the network demanded light, family-friendly mysteries. Long 18-hour shooting days on Universal Studios' Colonial Street took a toll. Shaun collapsed from dehydration during a stunt in the first season. Behind the scenes, tensions mounted. Co-star Pamela Sue Martin, paid half as much as Shaun despite equal billing, sparked a scandal by posing for Playboy's Nancy Drew uncovered issue, leading to her firing. Fan outrage and thousands of letters flooded ABC, but Shaun's pleas for deeper stories were ignored, constrained by the Stratemeyer Syndicate's insistence on preserving the book's clean image. By Season 2, ratings slipped from number 61 to 69. A motorcycle accident injuring co-star Parker Stevenson halted production, exposing lax safety protocols. Shaun's simultaneous music career strained his vocal cords, risking permanent damage. In 1979, ABC dropped Nancy Drew due to lower ratings and higher costs, ignoring Shaun's protests about the need for strong female characters. Season 3's darker tone, featuring Joe Hardy's fiancée's death and FBI missions involving heroin and morgues, alienated young viewers. Parents complained, the FCC intervened, and the show, renamed The Hardy Boys, plummeted to number 92 with a 13.0 rating. Cancelled on January 14, 1979, after 46 episodes, the show's demise left Shaun disillusioned. Fans sued ABC, and death threats escalated, requiring intervention from the FBI and security expert Gavin de Becker. A dark turn in personal struggles. In 1980, Shaun released Wasp, a bold departure from pop, produced by Todd Rundgren with covers of David Bowie and Talking Heads. Critics panned it, calling it a karaoke night misstep, and it sold fewer than 25,000 copies. Warner Brothers dropped him, and he abandoned music. That same year, his role in the short-lived series Breaking Away earned critical praise but poor ratings. In 1981, an emotional interview revealed his frustration. "I've always had a dark side, but everyone wanted the lighter me." His Broadway debut and mass appeal flopped when audiences, expecting teen idol charm, abandoned the serious drama, costing $2.3 million. For a decade, stage roles eluded him. Shaun's 1979 marriage to model Ann Pennington unraveled by 1987, ending in a 1993 divorce that cost him $400,000. Pennington cited his obsession with shedding his wholesome image as a source of emotional distance. In 1987, Shaun joined General Hospital as villain Dusty Walker, a deliberate attempt to subvert his image. Fan backlash, 3,000 letters in a month, forced producers to cut his storyline from 2 years to 8 months. The rejection stung, reinforcing his sense of being trapped by public perception. Reinvention through American Gothic. In 1995, Shaun created American Gothic, a dark, supernatural series for CBS, inspired by his work with David in Blood Brothers and backed by Sam Raimi. Featuring Gary Cole as the sinister Sheriff Lucas Buck, the show explored murder, abuse, and psychological horror. Its $2.2 million pilot shocked executives with its graphic content, a murdered girl, a suicidal father, and themes of rape and betrayal, but critical acclaim from outlets like the New York Times secured its run. Despite a cult following, low ratings led to cancellation after 22 episodes in 1996. Still, it marked Shaun's emergence as a storyteller unafraid to confront darkness, reflecting the trauma of his youth. Later success and a principled stand. From 2018 to 2023, Shaun found mainstream success as executive producer of New Amsterdam, a medical drama that grossed $200 million and earned Emmy nominations. Its subtle infusion of darker themes showcased his matured voice. In 2018, he rejected a $15 million Netflix offer to reboot The Hardy Boys, refusing scripts he deemed too juvenile. He envisioned a version exploring the brothers' trauma from years of violence, a nod to the psychological depth he'd always wanted. Fan theories on Reddit since 2019 have uncovered eerie details in the original Hardy Boys episodes, shadows, newspaper clippings tied to real crimes, and hints of Joe Hardy's mental strain, suggesting Shaun embedded subversive messages. These discoveries influenced darker tones in modern Nancy Drew adaptations. By 2023, Shaun's net worth reached $20 million, built on shows like American Gothic, Roar, and Invasion. No longer chasing fame, he found fulfillment in authentic storytelling, turning down millions to stay true to his vision. His journey, from a teen idol trapped by Hollywood's expectations to a creator of resonant, unflinching narratives, reveals a man who transformed personal pain into art. Expanded exploration. Shaun's creative vision and cultural impact. Early influences and the seeds of rebellion. Shaun's childhood wasn't just shaped by his father's instability but by the broader cultural shifts of the 1960s and 1970s. Los Angeles was a city of contrasts, glamorous yet gritty, with the counterculture clashing against Hollywood's polished veneer. Shaun absorbed these tensions, sneaking listens to Bob Dylan and the Rolling Stones while his mother's musicals played at home. He later cited Dylan's blood on the tracks as an influence on his desire to write raw, confessional stories. At 14, he began journaling, filling notebooks with poetry about loss and identity, early signs of the introspective voice that would define his later work. School offered no refuge. The bullying wasn't just personal, it reflected a cultural disdain for the wholesome entertainment his family represented. Classmates, children of industry insiders, saw Shirley's roles as relics of a fading era. Shaun's isolation deepened his empathy for outsiders, a theme that surfaced in his acting roles like Normal People, which championed disability rights. His early exposure to fame's underbelly, David's struggles with addiction, Jack's mental illness, made him wary of Hollywood's promises, fueling a desire to subvert its conventions. The Hardy Boys, a canvas for subtle protest. Shaun's tenure on the Hardy Boys/Nancy Drew Mysteries was more than a professional stepping stone, it was a battleground for his creative ideals. Behind the show's glossy surface, he embedded subtle acts of rebellion. Fans later noticed anomalies in episodes, a newspaper headline about a real 1977 police brutality case in the background of a diner scene, a fleeting shadow resembling a distressed figure during a chase sequence. Were these intentional? Shaun never confirmed, but in a 2020 podcast, he hinted at leaving breadcrumbs for perceptive viewers. These clues suggest he was quietly weaving his vision of a darker, more grounded narrative into the show's framework. Despite network constraints, the production itself was a microcosm of Hollywood's dysfunction. Long hours and inadequate safety measures, evidenced by Shaun's dehydration collapse and Parker Stevenson's motorcycle injury, reflected the industry's disregard for its young stars. Shaun's push for stories about teen alcoholism or systemic corruption wasn't just artistic ambition, it was a response to the real-world issues he'd witnessed, from his father's addiction to the inequities Pamela Sue Martin faced. Her Playboy stunt, while controversial, resonated with Shaun as a defiant rejection of exploitation, mirroring his own frustration. The music career, a struggle for authenticity. Shaun's music career, often overshadowed by his acting, was a parallel struggle for creative control. His early singles were crafted to fit the teen idol mold, but Under Wraps, 1978, and Wasp, 1980, revealed his desire to break free. Under Wraps' darker rock edge, with its Brian Wilson collaboration, was a bold step, but fans clung to his bubblegum image. Wasp was even riskier, with covers of avant-garde artists like Talking Heads. Shaun spent late nights in the studio with Rundgren, debating lyrics that grappled with alienation and loss, themes drawn from his father's death and his own disillusionment. The album's failure was a blow, but it solidified his resolve to prioritize authenticity over commercial success. The physical toll was immense. By 1979, Shaun's vocal cords were so strained that doctors warned of permanent damage. His collapse in Germany wasn't just exhaustion, it was a manifestation of the pressure to perform a persona that felt increasingly alien. The death threats and fan hysteria at Madison Square Garden underscored the dehumanizing side of fame. Shaun later described feeling like a product on a shelf, a sentiment echoed by other teen idols like David and, later, Justin Bieber. Personal life, love, loss, and reinvention. Shaun's marriage to Ann Pennington was a casualty of his internal conflict. Married in 1979 at the height of his fame, their relationship crumbled under the weight of his need to redefine himself. Ann, a model accustomed to Hollywood's glamour, struggled with Shaun's growing darkness. Court documents from their 1993 divorce reveal her frustration with his obsession with darker roles and his emotional withdrawal. Shaun, meanwhile, was grappling with the trauma of his father's death and the industry's refusal to let him evolve. The $400,000 settlement was a financial hit, but the emotional cost was greater, leaving Shaun wary of relationships for years. His brief return to acting in General Hospital was a calculated risk. As Dusty Walker, he embraced a villainous role to shatter his teen idol image. The fan backlash, thousands of letters decrying his betrayal of Joe Hardy's wholesomeness, highlighted the public's resistance to his growth. Shaun later admitted he underestimated the reaction but saw it as a necessary step to reclaim his identity. American Gothic, a creative breakthrough. American Gothic was Shaun's catharsis. Conceived during a reflective period in the early 1990s, the show channeled his lifelong fascination with the macabre and the psychological. Working with Sam Raimi, Shaun crafted a world where Sheriff Lucas Buck embodied the charismatic yet destructive figures of his past, like his father. The pilot's shocking imagery, a murdered girl, a suicidal father, blood-written messages, was a direct challenge to network norms. Shaun spent months revising scripts to balance horror with emotional depth, drawing on his journals from adolescence. Critics praised the show's originality, with the New York Times calling it a revelation. Its cancellation after 22 episodes was a heartbreak, but its cult status affirmed Shaun's vision. New Amsterdam and legacy. New Amsterdam marked Shaun's triumph. As executive producer, he wove subtle darkness into a mainstream medical drama, exploring themes of systemic failure and personal redemption. The show's $200 million in syndication revenue and Emmy nominations reflected his ability to balance commercial appeal with meaningful storytelling. Shaun's refusal of Netflix's $15 million Hardy Boys reboot offer in 2018 was a testament to his principles. He envisioned a reboot that explored the brothers' trauma, drawing parallels to his own experiences and the fan theories about hidden clues in the original series. These theories, shadows, cryptic props, and psychological undertones, gained traction on Reddit, inspiring modern adaptations like the CW's Nancy Drew. By 2023, Shaun's $20 million net worth was a byproduct of his creative persistence, not a goal. Shows like Roar and Invasion, though less successful, added to his legacy of taking risks. Shaun's journey, from a teen idol suffocated by fame to a creator of authentic, impactful stories, offers a roadmap for navigating the perils of early stardom. His story resonates with artists like Justin Bieber, whose own struggles with fame echo Shaun's. In a 2020 interview, Shaun reflected, "Fame is a mirage. Telling stories that matter, that's what lasts."